Hey everyone, this is Luke and Tom from catsandcarp.com, and we're going to talk about travel rods and travel nets. I've got a trip planned. I'm going to be going to the LA area in California for about half a week here in the middle of January. And so I'm packing for this and I'm pulling out my travel rods. And I wanted to show you guys some of the travel rods I own and kind of give you an idea of what's out there. So if you want a quality rod that performs well, that's enjoyable, but also packs down small, you really don't have a lot of options here in the States. Thankfully, nowadays with the internet, it's really easy to get foreign rods and reels online. And overseas in Europe, the UK, Asia, there are some fabulous products out there, and I'm going to show them to you. So first off, let me show you my travel rod case, because I love this thing. Okay, I bought this in Hong Kong. Daiwa makes it, and this is a surf rod travel bag, and they have lots of different types, and you can get these online. If you go to like Alibaba.com and eBay and things like that, you can find these, and they're fabulous. They hold enough for, this is a 2-rod bag, but you can get 2 Asian style telescoping surf rods in this thing, and reels and lots of other gear. So this right here is one of my travel rods that I've got in here. This is made by D.A.M, D.A.M. I believe it's a German company. At any rate, this right here is a 15-foot rod. Telescopes down this big. Check that out. 15 feet, man. It's great. This is the silt reel, the quick silt, SYLT, and this is the 360 size. So the silt 360. This is like the red steel surf rod, and it comes with a little protector, and the butt ring pops up, and then it telescopes out, and well, you get the idea. It goes 15 feet, so it's got some distance to it. But this thing's great. It's a pretty beefy surf rod. It has quite a bit of backbone to it. I'm bringing this to California for some shark fishing off the piers and off the beaches, and this should handle all fish up to, I think 70-80 pounds is probably the high end of what this can handle. This has got some serious backbone on it. Another rod I really like is Daiwa makes some fabulous telescoping surf rods. They're just awesome. This one here, this is in English, it's the Prime Surf. This is the Prime Surf. Hey Tom, out of the way. Tommy, come back. Come back here. Come here, sit down. So here's another surf rod I have. This is made by Daiwa. It's a 4.25 meter rod, so that's about 13 feet. These Daiwa rods all come in these little plastic cases, and it's got these great reel seats that you don't screw them. They've got these like quick latch, kind of like ski boot bindings. They're really awesome. Once again, the butt ring folds down so it doesn't get damaged. And this is a 13-foot rod, and it's got some serious backbone. This is a great surf rod. I can also use this for carp fishing. This would be like about probably a 3.25 test curve. It's a great rod. You can get some fabulous distance on this thing. But right there, that's 13 feet. So it's a big rod, and put it inside its little plastic case, man. It's golden. And with the if you ever want to buy a Japanese rod, especially a Japanese surf rod, one of these Japanese rods, they have a different way of measuring the rods. So you'll see a number. This is the T27 425. Okay, T stands for telescoping. Okay, so and the number in front, the 27, stands for the backbone. It's kind of like the test curve in British rods, or the action. So the higher the number, the tougher the rod. And then there's a dash, and then the second number is how many centimeters the rod is. So this is a 425 centimeters, so that should be a 4.25 meter rod. This is another Daiwa rod I have. It's a Liberty Surf Club rod. The Liberty Club Surf. It's a 390. So it's a little bit softer action. It's 3.9 meters. Great surf rods. I absolutely love these surf rods. I love them better than my non-travel surf rods, to be honest. They're a lot more sensitive, they're lighter, they're less hassle to carry with you and to set up. They're just really, really fun Japanese rods. And these are both made for the Japanese market, so they don't sell them retail here in the US, but you can get them on Alibaba.com, eBay, even Amazon.com. Alright, so I showed you my German rod, I showed you my two Japanese rods. Let me show you some British rods. These are both Rovex Lure Pro, same rod, both 8-footers. I got this one in Plymouth while I was in the UK. Not a very expensive rod. I think it's like $60, 70 bucks. So it's a pretty affordable rod. And this one I bought online. I think I got it on Amazon.com. So you know, you can find them around. But it's a 4-piece rod, not a telescoping rod. And it's got a Fuji shrink handle, and it's a great rod. I've used this in a couple of my videos, and I've used this one. I brought this one up to Alaska. I've fished with this thing over in Hong Kong. It's traveled around with me. The one thing is, it's not a particularly strong rod. Now, what I really like about this rod versus the US rods is, one, that it's a lot lighter than the US travel rods. A lot of travel rods in the US are bulky, they're chunky, they feel really heavy in your hand. This feels really light and subtle. It's only slightly less sensitive than a 1-piece rod, which is really surprising. The other thing that's really cool about this is this rod is designed to be a bait caster or a spinning rod. They actually do that quite a bit over in the UK. It's pretty interesting. So I can put I can do it either way. So it's not a high performance rod. I did have one of these break and had to get it repaired, and you know, but it was only 60 bucks, and it's a great travel rod. I've used it for lure fishing and bait fishing. But anyway, the Rovex Lure Pro 8-footer, good rod, and you can get it here. You can buy it online here in the US if you look around. One thing I like about these Rovex Lure Pros too is they come with these hard cases, travel cases. That right there is worth like 30-40 bucks. So I mean, considering you're getting the case for free, it's really, you're getting for 60 bucks you're getting a decent rod, and you're getting a really nice travel case to go with it too. So quite a bargain. So let me show you my least favorite, but my most expensive travel rod. It's a St. Croix Tidemast. It's a fast action 7.5-foot spinning rod. It's a 3-piece rod, but the ferrule on the middle section is just huge. It's really not a very sensitive rod. It's really a very heavy, bulky rod. Now this is you know, a much heavier duty rod than my other ones, but it's not a very, it doesn't feel good in the hands, and it's expensive. This is about a $250 rod, so it's you know, 4 times the cost of the Rovex, and it just doesn't feel nearly as good in the hands. And that's kind of been my experience with like the G. Loomis and the St. Croix travel rods, is they don't feel, they just are not anywhere near as good as the overseas travel rods. Next, this is the Dwarf rods from Nash. It's a carp rod from the UK. It's got a telescoping butt section and then a 2-piece rod. So it's kind of a hybrid telescoping rod. Really light, feels good in the hands. This is a 4.25 test curve, so a pretty beefy rod. I use it for spotting, and but I can also use it for like surf fishing and bigger catfish and some other things. But yeah, 10-foot rod, can really wing stuff, very light. I mean, compared to like the American rods, like the St. Croix and stuff, I mean, this thing feels like a feather in your hand. It's a much lighter rod. It's got that Fuji shrink wrap handle on it. It's very sensitive. I like it, and not too expensive. I can't remember the exact price of this, but it was well under $100. I think it was about 70, 80 bucks. One nice thing about these foreign rods too is the US dollar's strength has a lot to do with the price of the rod. So for instance, this rod a year or 2 ago was a lot more expensive, but the dollar's been doing really well compared to foreign currency, and so now you can buy them overseas for a lot cheaper than you could before the economy was doing better. So you can kind of play games with that a little bit, and it really helps. Okay, this is the Scope by Nash. It's the higher end version of the Dwarf, and same thing, it's telescoping butt section, 2-piece rod. It's a 10-footer. This is a 2.75 pound test curve. It's a small rod, so I use this for carp fishing. This is my travel carp rods. Also use it for surf fishing and catfish. I mean, it's a great rod. Very light in the hand. The difference between the Dwarf and the Scope isn't extreme. You can tell it's a better quality materials. The reel seat's metal instead of plastic. The eyelets are higher quality and slider. It just feels higher quality, but the price is significantly different. This was about, I think, 160, and the Dwarf was like 70. So I mean, it's like 2.5 times the price, but you pick it up and you just get a lot of better play out of it. And what you're really paying for is hand feel. Like when you pick it up and you're playing a fish and it just feels nice, sensitive, light, subtle. That's what you're paying the money for. I don't have any reason to believe that the Dwarfs aren't strong, aren't well built, or can't cast as far. I mean, there might be a slight difference in castability, but not extreme. So if you want a cheap version, the Dwarf's really good. If you really like to pay for quality, you like a quality rod, this is great. Which is fabulous in a travel rod, because there's not a lot of travel rods that feel good in the hand. This one feels fabulous. This is the kind of rod that you don't just use as a travel rod. You know, if you just don't like having bulky rods around the house and in your car, I mean, this is a great primary rod, and I just happen to use it as a travel rod, but it can stand on its own. So this is the Dwarf landing net. It's got a telescoping handle. The biggest downside to this thing is plastic instead of metal, which this is the part on most landing nets that breaks right here at the joint. And it's really stiff. I mean, you gotta muscle this net to put it together and to take it apart. It's kind of a pain in the butt. This right here is one of my favorite toys. This is my Daiwa landing net. It's a pier net, essentially. And you've got this travel net, this net that folds up real small and then turns into quite a large net. And this is so you put this net together screw it into the head like that. And then you sling this thing over your back and you go fishing on the jetties or the cliffs or the piers. And if you hook a fish, you take and put this down to the water, you net the fish, and then you telescope it back up. This thing's 15 feet long, telescopes out 15 feet. It's a fabulous net, and I use it all the time. And if you want a net that's travel friendly, these nets work fabulously. Now, keep in mind, you don't pick the fish up this way, just like you would with a carp net. You don't. You use it to pull it, to push it, and then you grab it by this if you want to pick it up. But this thing telescopes out. Okay, I'm at the end of the room, so. Yeah! Now, if you want something that's a little bit more baby friendly or fish friendly, you can go and get a coarse fishing net and screw this in. Now, the threads are different. This is not a British Standard fine thread, because this is for the Asian market. So the 3/8 inch British Standard fine thread, which is on all British carp fishing gear, to do that, I just went and bought myself a tap and die set for a 3/8 inch British Standard fine, and I tapped in a little adapter that takes it from the British threads to the Asian threads, and then I can do that in, and then I have I can get a fish friendly, a more a net so it's better fish care. Right. But at any rate, that's my travel gear. Like I said, I'm going out to California, to the LA and Santa Monica area for a work conference. I'm going to be fishing in the afternoons every day that I can. And so if anybody lives around there and has some recommendations, I'm going to try my hand at some sand perch and some sharks and do some surf fishing, but wouldn't mind hitting some carp or some other things too. So if you have any recommendations for good fishing out in the Santa Monica area, let me know. I'd be glad to hear your input. And hopefully this will help you find a really good travel rod. Thanks for watching. If you liked that video, check out some of our other videos, including our top 8 catfish baits and a great review of the Signet Rod Pod, the best rod holder money can buy. At any rate, thanks for watching, and don't forget to click subscribe.